Hey guys, this is Monolith Soft guy. Even several Nintendo Directs later, there's no sign of life of Monolith Soft's next new game. A good time then to talk about a quotation marks announcement that has reached legendary status among Monolith Soft fans. Most of you will surely be aware of the mysterious medieval fantasy RPG game that Monolith Soft more or less hinted at on their website 8 years ago in 2017. Whether this game is still alive or ever existed at all, to be honest, I'd like to take the chance and explain from my POV why this project got me so excited and why still to this day I hope that Nintendo is gonna surprise us with an announcement any moment. Let's go! When I look at video games and anime from the last decade or so, they all come from one of two categories. Either they are really serious, grounded and devoid of funny, goofy stuff, or they are really wacky, not realistic at all, and chock full of cute characters. However, I feel the best medieval fantasy stories come to be when both of these categories find a nice middle ground, allowing for the whimsical to happen. Whether it's the Lord of the Rings movies with their super serious plot of Sauron taking over the world, but also the adorable Hobbit friends who try their hardest to contribute but end up in funny scenes more than once. Or classic anime like Record of Lodoss War that has a group of strangers journey together in overwhelming dangers while also having Zero, Pan and Diedlit, an elf girl, fool around as they grow closer to each other. And of course Berserk, that is so cruel and dark but then features Puck, the little fairy, and Isidro, the self-chosen apprentice who brings some real comedy to the story. A childhood favorite story of mine mustn't be left unmentioned either. The US cartoon Dungeons and Dragons that sends a couple teenagers from our world into a classic fantasy world and forces them to tackle all sorts of adventures on their search for a way home. What they have all in common is that they take themselves seriously most of the time, but also know when to be lighthearted. I feel like that's one of developer Monolith Soft's strengths, so putting them on a medieval fantasy setting could truly result in something magical. I cannot think of any medieval fantasy game in recent times that got this right, whether it's The Witcher 3, Skyrim, Metaphor, Genshin Impact or Final Fantasy 16. And then the countless kawaii JRPGs, of course. It's either too dry or too flavorful. And especially on the side of Japanese games, you also have that lacking scope that only Western RPGs offer. The vast 3D world with lots of interaction and customization. There's simply no other developer, in my opinion, that could combine these two types in a satisfying manner. Let Monolith Soft create their vision of a medieval fantasy world. A world with classic elements like magic, dragons, knights and swords. And then their own additions like magic-bound mecha with giant swords, dramatic story twists and hugely emotional cutscenes. Let us have a Nopon companion who fights by our side wearing the cutest, silliest knight armor. Let us explore a vast, beautiful world, climb and jump, swim and dive, and encounter both weird monsters as well as friendly wildlife. Show us your vision of elves and dwarves, and make the story feature both a top-layer story about the characters we meet, as well as an underlying, weird, mysterious subplot about gods, strange energy, and an oddly shaped golden portal that's hidden somewhere. I will stop now, I promise. But as you can see, the mere thought of Monolith Soft getting their hands on the medieval fantasy RPG genre is so instantly exciting to me. When Xenoblade 1 first released on the Wii, one of the reasons I fell in love with the game was because of how much of a perfect blend between JRPG and Western RPG it was. The dramatic story and likable characters from a JRPG, but with the open world exploration and customization of a Western RPG, all with the added Monolith Soft flavor. Now that the Xenoblade series has gotten kinda samey and gameplay in both Xenoblade 3 and Future Redeemed didn't feel so fresh anymore, I'd really hope for a larger detour. Not only for Xenoblade 4, which I'm sure will be great, but also for Monolith Soft as a developer. You cannot completely change up Xenoblade 4 without upsetting a lot of fans, so let's create a new IP that can exist in parallel. And who knows, there could always be a connection. After all, sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, isn't it? Whew, let me know in the comments what your stance is when it comes to Monolith Soft and developing a medieval fantasy game. Would you love it too? Would you prefer something more on the science fiction side of things? Or are you fine with anything they make? See you next time everyone, bye bye!
dim dim da da dim dim da da dim